Time for your Alamogordo Town News on Crazy Radio. I'm Anthony Lucero. When it comes to news on 95.1 FM, weather always comes first. The expansive heat wave continues across the southern tier of the lower 48, with more daily record temperatures expected. From the western high plains into the mid-Atlantic and northeast, increasing threats for severe thunderstorms and heavy rainfall that could result in flooding throughout early this week. Critical fire weather conditions continue for portions of interior Alaska. Closer to home, a heat advisory is in effect for the area until midnight. Precipitation chances persist every day through Saturday, with the best focus being in the area mountains and west of the Continental Divide. Temperatures are going to cool somewhat, but still remain hot. How much are they going to cool? Well, today we're looking at a high of around 102. Tomorrow, a bone-chilling 98. We'll have another look at the weather following this news. Friday, it was announced that additional enhanced charges are being filed against murder suspect Dominic De La O in Otero County's 12th Judicial District Court. De La O has been charged with first-degree murder, aggravated fleeing, and 8 other charges in connection to the murder of Alamogordo Police Department officer Anthony Ferguson. Otero County District Attorney Scott Key has filed a motion asking for enhancement charges to be added to Dominic De La O's charges. DA Scott Key notified De La O's attorney that they will ask the jury to consider adding a brandishing of a firearm enhancement on all applicable charges if De La O is found guilty. Key said the enhancements are warranted based on the fact that De La O was out on conditions of release when the incident occurred and that he obtained a federally banned weapon from a convicted felon. There is an announcement here to notify the public that there's going to be a special meeting for the village of Tularosa this afternoon at 4 p.m. The agenda has been posted on the Village of Tularosa website. Speaking of Tularosa, we've got some more information coming up for you later this week with regards to some of the questionable actions by the village government. The City of Alamogordo regular commission meeting will be happening tomorrow evening at 6:30 at the commission chambers. And the Otero County Commission meeting will be held at the Commission Chambers Thursday at 9 o'clock. Tularosa Municipal Schools begin today. Bell schedules have been adjusted. Please remember to have all students at bus stops at least 15 minutes prior to last year. And remember, they will now be dropped off around 15 minutes later than normal. Alamogordo Public Schools begins on Thursday and Friday. See the website for details. You're invited to join the City of Alamogordo Police Department for a meet and greet.
Let's be cops!
Happening on Wednesday, August 9th at 6:30 at 103 Cuba Avenue. There's going to be a Q&A for any APD applicants or anyone applying. You can participate in the physical fitness test if you wish and apply for a job. Again, that's Wednesday, August 9th at 103 Cuba. The Republican Party of Otero County is having a voter registration drive on the corner of Granado and Highway 70 on Saturday from 10 until 2. You can inquire about upcoming elections, find out about volunteering, and other activities as well. Well, today is Monday. Let's check in with Sunny Eris from Animal Village NM for this week's Pup Date.
Hi, this is Animal Village with this week's Pup Date. And in fact, we are traveling back from Alamogordo, where Mountain Spirit joined the cast of The Little Mermaid at the Flickinger Center's Alamogordo Music Theater program. It was fantastic. Congratulations to all of the actors. You were stupendous. You know, the Flickinger Center is another nonprofit, and what nonprofits like the Flickinger Center and Animal Village NM do is what the government won't do, and that is fund things that are not just moneymakers, but save the taxpayers a whole lot of money in the case of Animal Village NM. We are now on our 8th generation of litters since COVID, and what that means is that when all those adoptions happened with people who were at home, not working because of COVID, there were also severely curtailed services from veterinary clinics. They didn't have the staffing. People couldn't come in. They were closed for everything but essential services. And tragically, in New Mexico, the state with the highest pet abandonment rate already, this created a horrible overflow at all the animal control facilities and does to this day because they haven't been caught up. Please picture all of those litters and very few veterinary services available, who then bred more litters, who then bred more litters. All of those dogs and cats, and it's much more with the kitties than the dogs because they can have 3 litters a year, all of them are still out there. And for those who cannot afford several $100s per spay or neuter surgery, they are still unspayed and unneutered, which leads to so many problems for the community. The cost of the Alamogordo Animal Control Facility, for example, is almost $450,000. That's $500,000 a year to round up stray animals, to house, to temporarily care for, and then destroy the animals who they collect who are not adopted. So taxpayers, please support Animal Village NM, the only source of low-income spay-neuter for Otero County. But at this time, because of low donations and low numbers of monthly sponsors, we had to temporarily stop registering pets because we don't have the money to pay those bills. Please become a monthly sponsor. Donate wearable shoes at First Savings Bank or go online and donate once or monthly. AnimalVillageNM.org.
News from around the state in just a moment. This is Alamogordo Town News on Crazy Radio. I'm Anthony Lucero.
Directory Plus is the right size book. It's the book if you need a phone book.
That's what just one person has to say about Directory Plus. With its red cover, features, colorful yellow pages, and lots more, it's no wonder people all over use Directory Plus.
It has so much more information. You can cross-check phone numbers or addresses or pretty much anything.
Look on the plus side, Directory Plus.
I'm a big fan of Directory Plus.
AlamogordoTownNews.com is a locally owned website featuring local news matters from a local perspective that affects you, and we bring it to you directly. Plus, local sports, cultural arts, and events. Online, AlamogordoTownNews.com. Owned and operated by Second Life Media. We are Otero County.
The death of a pedestrian who was hit by a train on Sunday is under investigation. That's according to the Las Cruces Police Department. The crash happened around 2 p.m. The train was traveling north when it hit the person at a crossing within the Las Cruces city limits. No information on the pedestrian has yet been released. Do you remember the story of 2 young ladies traveling to Mexico with a disabled woman? Well, the autopsy report for that disabled woman says her death was natural, despite allegations of abuse, neglect, and torture from her caregivers. The Texas Office of the Medical Examiner in El Paso County determined that she died of complications from staph infections, necrotic skin ulcers, and pneumonia. The report also says chronic pancreatitis and other health conditions contributed to her death. Despite those complications, the report states that the manner of death is natural. The New Mexico Attorney General's office wants a second opinion. The Attorney General's office is also still prosecuting the suspects who were supposed to be her caregivers. A man for whom a New Mexico arrest warrant was issued back in February was arrested this past Friday by U.S. Marshals. Roderick Alonzo Taylor was arrested after being located at an apartment building in Albuquerque. He had a loaded revolver in his possession. He was booked into the Metropolitan Detention Center and charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm. Taylor was convicted back in 2007 of being a sex offender. He appeared in Bernalillo County District Court on Saturday and will be held over for a pre-detention hearing. The case will be referred to the U.S. Attorney's Office for potential federal charges for being a felon in possession of a firearm and failure to register as a sex offender. Albuquerque and Bernalillo County fire rescue crews responded to a large fire located at a plastic storage facility south of Albuquerque yesterday.
They did kind of push the fire away from the building that's behind us. If the winds would have come out the other way, that structure would have been much more heavily involved. It kind of did. There was some impingement into that structure, but the fire since pushed away from that. Now they're also focusing on the wildland aspect of this with the winds that we have. So that's also turned into a multi-alarm wildland fire. We now have Bernalillo County, of course, Albuquerque Fire. Corrales is now responding with some units, and we also have Kirtland Air Force Base. We might get some crash trucks from Kirtland Air Force Base, and that's what's going to help start to actually extinguish these fires that are involving these plastics, which can be very difficult to extinguish. That's
Lieutenant Jason Faher of the Albuquerque Fire Department. The fire department was recommending people in line of the fire to turn off their ACs in order to prevent sucking the smoke into their homes.
As the primary fuel load of this fire, so the massive amount of plastics that are still continuing to burn behind us, as those continue to burn and that massive portion of it burns, the thing is that they'll have smaller groupings of that throughout the next 24 to 48 hour period that will then still be ignited. And basically what ends up having to happen is we end up having to get construction materials or a bigger heavy equipment to come out and start to scrape through that plastic and allow us to get from the stuff on top that may be ash or may have been somewhat extinguished and make sure that the stuff underneath is actually fully extinguished. So that's what ends up making these types of fires end up being long duration fires.
Lieutenant Robert Arguelles of the Albuquerque Police Department. The city has issued a warning for people to avoid the area, to remain inside, and to keep windows and doors closed. At last check, unpredictable winds were preventing the fire from being contained. Thick black smoke could be seen from downtown Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, and Los Lunas. It's believed the fire could take several days to extinguish. 2 youths in Sunland Park were bitten by rattlesnakes this past Thursday and sent to the hospital in 2 separate incidents. The Sunland Park Fire Department responded to the first call after midnight to a home in Sunland Park where a 17-year-old girl had reached for a baby rattlesnake and was bit on the hand. The second call came after 8 a.m. where an 11-year-old boy also reached for a baby rattlesnake and was bitten on the hand. Both the 17-year-old and 11-year-old were transported to hospitals and were treated with anti-venom. The Sunland Park Fire Department warns the community to not reach for snakes. The U.S. Air Force plans to relocate Special Ops personnel. For Cannon Air Force Base, hundreds of Air Force workers may be headed out. It could be a big deal for Clovis, but city officials are not worried.
Any kind of news like that is troubling to us in Clovis.
Clovis Mayor Mike Morris sat down Friday morning with the community members to address the announcement of the U.S. Air Force made earlier in the week. The Air Force announced 300 to 350 Special Operations employees would be taken from Cannon and transferred to Davis-Monthan in Arizona. Morris says he's not concerned, but it could bring new investments.
You'll understand what I mean in that there's nothing to be concerned about. And the future is bright.
The relocation is scheduled to happen in 2027. A New Mexico State police officer's quick thinking helped save a newborn. This heroic rescue happened just feet from a hospital. State Police Officer Perez was on patrol in Deming when he got a call from a frantic woman who had just given birth inside of her car. He arrived in front of the local hospital where a car was parked outside the emergency room. A woman delivered her baby in her car, but the newborn was not crying and not breathing due to the umbilical cord wrapped around the baby's neck. Officer Perez quickly jumped into action. The newborn began to breathe and cry right as hospital staff made their way outside and took the mother and child into the hospital. Police say Perez's quick thinking and proficient training saved that baby's life. Both baby and mom are in excellent health. Weather's coming up next. You're listening to Alamogordo Town News on Crazy Radio. I'm Anthony Lucero.
The Alamogordo Center of Commerce presents the 3rd annual Tularosa Basin Open Golf Tournament, Saturday, August 26th at Desert Lakes Golf Course, featuring celebrity guest John Carlos. Contact the Center of Commerce today to sponsor our guest speaker, breakfast and lunch, golf handbag, and more. Golfers, call Desert Lakes at 575-439-0290 to secure your spot in the 4-man scramble best ball tournament. See you on the green.
The National Weather Service has issued a heat advisory in effect until tonight at midnight. High heat will significantly increase the potential for heat-related illnesses, particularly for those who are working outside or participating in outdoor activities. Be sure to drink plenty of fluids, remain in air-conditioned rooms, stay out of the sun, and be sure to check up on relatives and neighbors. Young children and pets should never be left unattended in vehicles under any circumstances. Your Crazy Radio spot-on weather forecast for the Tularosa Basin today calls for sunny and hot with a 20% chance of showers and storms. Winds gusting as high as 22 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight with a 30% chance of showers and storms. Winds gusting as high as 23. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow. Your high today in the basin, 102. Low tonight, 74. High tomorrow, 98 degrees. In Cloudcroft, sunny skies today with a 50% chance of showers and storms. New rainfall amounts less than 1/10 of an inch expected. Partly cloudy skies tonight with a 30% chance of showers and storms. Winds are going to be gusting as high as 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, partly sunny skies with a 30% chance of showers and storms. Your high today in Cloudcroft, 80. Low tonight at 56. High tomorrow, 76 degrees. Local breaking news can be found on our website, alamogordotownnews.com, and learn more about Crazy Radio by visiting kalhradio.org. We've also launched the Crazy KALH Radio YouTube channel, which will feature our daily newscasts, complete interviews, and other information which concerns everyone in the Tularosa Basin. That concludes today's edition of Alamogordo Town News on Crazy Radio. I'm Anthony Lucero.